And welcome back to the Weekly Why. This week we have a double parsha, Matot-Masei, which is finishing up the book of Bamidbar, or the book of Numbers. And that's the fourth of 5 books in the Torah in the Chumash. And the next book is Deuteronomy or Devarim. So we have double parsha, and then next week we're starting a new book of Devarim. So this week there's a few ideas that we can talk about. There's a number of things which are happening. We have some of the laws of vows, taking vows. We have some narrative talking about the Jews fighting the Midianites. There's one idea I'd really like to take a look at, especially as it pertains kind of the time of year that we're in now. The time period that we're in now in the Jewish calendar is really the 3 weeks. And this is the time bound by the 17th of the month of Tammuz, which was about a week and a couple days ago, and the 9th day of the month of Av, which is next week and a bit from now. And so these 3 weeks are considered a very auspicious time, very dangerous time. And so that the 17th of Tammuz there were 5 things that happened, but the most primary one was the destruction of the outer walls of Jerusalem, and then the 9th of Av commemorates the destruction of both the first and the second temple. So this is certainly a time of tremendous sadness and some terrible things which happen in the meantime. There's a few key messages we can take from it in terms of why that happened. So one of them I'd like to take a look at. In the Parsha, in the 32nd chapter of the book of Numbers, we have a request from 2 of the 10 tribes, the 12 tribes, 2 of the 12 tribes, that's Gad and Reuben. And they ask Moses, they say, listen, after we're at the other side, we would like, once we've arrived in Israel, we would like to take our fair share, and we would just like to move onto the other side of the Jordan River, to do our own business, cultivate our own farmland, and just, live peacefully. And so Moses upbraids them, and he gives them this tochacha, this rebuke, and he tells them that they can't abandon the Jewish people, the people of Israel in their time of need, just when they're fighting to enter the land of Israel. And then only afterwards do they basically defend themselves and say, well, we didn't mean we wouldn't help them out. We would help them out, and we would only do this afterwards. So the first question is, why would they not correct Moses, when he's rebuking them and upbraiding them and saying, how dare you leave the Jewish people? Why wouldn't they just say, no, that's not what we meant? So one of the ideas is that they were very interested in tochacha. They were interested in growing in that self-criticism, and that the difference, we hear this a lot, especially in the book of Proverbs and Mishlei, that the real wise person is somebody who really appreciates the value of self-criticism and growth, because that's really the best way that somebody's going to grow. So that's one idea. A second idea, though, is that what happens is later on we see that Gad and Reuben are the 2 tribes which are the first to be exiled. So the question is, what's going on here? I mean, here are 2 tribes which are the most they're offering to fight for the Jewish people and do that, and only after, do their own thing. So what is the difference here exactly? So this is where the connection is to the 3 weeks. The rabbis of the Talmud said that the destruction for the second temple, first temple were a couple other reasons, but the destruction for the second temple was because of a certain baseless hatred that existed amongst the Jewish people. A certain baseless hatred, there was a Rabbi Ebershitz, he said that the reasons for the baseless hatred originated from jealousy, and the jealousy, people were jealous that other people learned more Torah than they did, and that jealousy eventually became something very horrible. But let's just say basically there was baseless hatred between the Jewish people, and that's what was the cause of the second temple destruction. And so there's a little interesting play on words here, that the difference in words between Gola, which is exile, and Geula, which means redemption, is an aleph. The only letter difference between exile and redemption is the letter aleph, and that word really stands for achdut, which is unity. It's a nice little cute play on words, but what that means basically is that the difference between exile and redemption is unity amongst the Jewish people, and that's what ties in well to the whole topic of Tisha B'Av, which is the destruction of both temples, and the whole reason the Talmud says the temples were destroyed because of baseless hatred. So again, getting back to our 2 tribes here, Gad and Reuben, why were they the first 2 tribes to be exiled? Not because they didn't have the right intentions, not because they weren't good and holy people, but because ultimately they really missed out on the whole idea here, is that they were really thinking about themselves in somewhat of a separate way from the Jewish people. Yes, we're going to fight for the Jewish people. Yes, we're going to do what's necessary, but once we're done, we're going to get out of there. And so they really missed a core idea, is that the difference between exile and redemption is unity. So when they missed that out, when they didn't quite understand that really the entire purpose of the Jewish people is to maintain that unity, and through unity comes that incredible strength and ultimately redemption, they've really missed out, and unfortunately they did not help in preventing the the destruction of the Second Temple. So my hope and blessing for all of us during this hopefully reflective time of year for us is that we can have the insight and the clarity to ask God for some clarity on this and how we can best, contribute to the Jewish people and how we can really help to that, contribute to that unity of the Jewish people in this very important time for that. Okay, so best wishes, Shabbat Shalom, and God bless.